It is the Sports Fix here on Flow FM, and our next guest, he had quite a bit to say to me last week this time. Disappointed in the game that he was off to cover in Barossa Light and Gawler football. As it turned out, he may have had the match of the round. Rick Drewer joins me on the line. I'm happy to accept monetary donations or anything else you'd like to apologise with. Thank you very much.
You'll be very lucky to get an apology at all, really. But,
how you going, mate?
I'm going very well, and honestly, I knew it was going to be the game of the round. I mean,
so did I. That's why I sent you there.
Dear me, talk about upset. I would have lost everything that I've ever known if you'd told me that Gawler Central were going to beat Williston, but it happened, so there you go.
Well, what about Williston? I mean, this is a team so far this year that has beaten everyone and lost to everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean it's beaten South Gawler, and they are pretty much everyone at the moment. If you can beat them, you can beat anyone. But they've also lost to Freuling and Gawler Central, who I reckon toss a coin for the two strugglers in the competition. I don't know what to make of them.
Well, now that I've seen them a few times, I'm sure that I don't know what to make of them. But it is surprising that over the journey, some sides, no matter where you sit on a premiership table in whatever league, seem to have it over another side. And for some strange reason, Williston seem to be able to match up with South Gawler, whereas on paper you wouldn't think they'd have a chance in snowball's chance in hell. But theoretically, after what I saw last weekend, there's no way on earth that they could beat South Gawler this week, but they've got a pretty good track record over the last year or so against South Gawler. So there you go. I mean, my theory with Williston is that they are very short, particularly in the ruck area, and Gawler Central, that's where they really got on top from the very start. Where the ruck dominance was fantastic by Gawler Central, and that was the be-all and end-all. Of course, it helps when you've got a bloke down forward kicking 8 goals in the end as well, but they were quite good, actually, better than I thought they'd be.
Well, and this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, I've said this a few times. Their best footy has been pretty good. And when Joe Botton, who is just a beast, he keeps trying, keeps coming at you all day. He's their skipper at the moment while the main man, Charlie Molyneux, is out injured. When he's up and going, they're very hard to stop. And then you've got Jenner in the forward end of the ground, kicking straight, kicking accurately, and kicking 8 goals. Obviously, they had more of their best on the weekend than their worst, because I think their worst is some of the worst we see.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, Joe Botton, I guess the umpires will give Jenner the 3 votes for 8 goals, but Joe Botton really was the beginning, the dynamite that Gawler got away to. And the two Pilkingtons played very well as well, and they looked quite good. The thing that worried me, if you're a Williston supporter, is that for the day at least, Gawler Central applied a huge amount of pressure, and it seemed to me that Williston didn't handle it that well. They came home with a buzz and nearly snatched the game, which probably, to be fair, would have been very unjust if Gawler Central had got beaten, because for 3 quarters at least they were the dominant side. But you get a run on. It was a surprise. But gee, it does help when somebody like Jenner kicks 8 goals. I mean, he kicked their 3 goals they got in the last quarter. Jenner got the 3 of them, while Wilson kicked 6 in the last quarter, but they couldn't pull the lead back.
Yeah. All right. Well done to the Tigers there. And, yes, I'm off to eat a slice of humble pie. Well done, Gawler Central.
Well, I will. Now, I do have an alleged rumour as well, which could be... We
need a jingle for the rumour file. I love your rumours. What have you got for me?
Well, the interesting thing is that there was a bloke who normally plays up forward for Williston who didn't play, and his name's Michael Housen. Now, Housen, in every game I've ever seen Williston play, is a key figure. Now, it is alleged, that is it, I'll make it very clear, it's alleged that there was a new sort of game plan created by the coach, which took away the focal point of Housen, and supposedly he's decided to take a long holiday. But now, I guess we'll find out this weekend if he fronts up against South. But gee whiz, I mean, they pushed Waldhutter forward, and he did well. But, it's robbing Peter to pay Paul if I've got to play him up there if Housen doesn't front up. So this Saturday will probably be very interesting to see who actually plays up front for them, I think.
That is true. Big key forwards like that don't grow on trees. Interestingly enough, we'll move away from... I love that rumour, but we'll move away from them for a minute and talk about South Gawler, who beat Freeling comfortably. And last time I was out at Williston Oval was a Wednesday night, out there having a look at some of the young girls train in their AFLW team. And lo and behold, bumped into Dean Cutting. We had a good chat there for 15, 20 minutes about how things were going at South Gawler and what on earth he was doing out there at Williston. Just out there keeping an eye on the enemy. But he was dominant again on the weekend, clearly talking about big key forwards, one of the more dominant ones in the comp. Another 5 goals. They were too much for Freeling to handle, mate.
Oh, look, at this level, they are probably the most balanced side that I've seen for a number of years. As you've just said, they've got a key forward, they've got Hudson and Co sort of changing at half forward when they're not rucking and whatever. They've got that small sort of mosquito fleet of Filkey and Pisani. And then you've got Judd Smith at back and Patrick White just to throw things in. I mean, it's almost for this level the complete unit, I reckon. Yeah, they're very impressive.
Yeah. We'll move on quickly to Nuriupa and Kapunda. It was Nuri too good there, 15-7-97 to Kapunda 4-5-29. Again, Kai Rosenweg, really good for Nuri. He's had an excellent season. Fraser Evans, the best player for Kapunda. Good to see him back, but surprising that they're that far off the pace with him back in the team.
Yes, I mean, the thing that they've got, the problem they've got is they lack depth over the ground, the very opposite, as it were, to South Gawler. I mean, you look at the top 3 or 4 players, particularly when Fraser Evans is back and Aaron Whistler and so forth, they're very good players, but they're spread around the ground. They're just lacking. If they could recruit 2 or 3 extra good players, they'd be a lot further up the ladder. But, it'll be interesting this week when they play Gawler Central, actually, because that ruck duel between Botten and Aaron Fechner could be a ripper, actually. Aaron Whistler, rather, I should have said. Yeah,
the big fella Whistler, they're lucky to have him back. But a very quick look at Barossa District and Anguston, which was almost another monumental upset. We might have been spending a bit more time on this had Anguston kicked one more goal. But Barossa District, after taking the foot off the pedal at half-time, I think it's safe to say, Anguston almost roared past them, but 10-8-68, Anguston 9-10-64 is another team whose best is very good. That's Anguston, but their worst is deplorable. So if they can bridge the gap, maybe they can be a thorn in someone's side in the second half of the year.
Well, I mean, that's to be blunt, that's all they're going to be, because they've got no chance of making the 4. They could, at their best, as you just said, they could cause an upset or 2, but their overall general form hasn't been good. Freeling versus Anguston this week, gee whiz, I'd go for Freeling, to be honest, but only because it's at home. But in theory, it'll be a close game, I would have thought.
Well, let's start there. Round 13 of matches coming up this weekend. And you mentioned Freeling and Anguston at Freeling. Here's their chance to get win number 2 of the season, Freeling. And, it'd be a long time since they would have started close to favourite. I'm not sure that there is a favourite in this game. I think it's a genuine 50-50 one.
Well, I totally agree. If you told me that they were ever going to beat Williston, well, you could have knocked me over with a feather. But I guess it's a bit like Anguston. Their best is reasonable, and their worst is absolutely atrocious. But I'm going to pick Freeling simply on the fact that it's at home, and maybe they possibly deserve to win a second game, I reckon.
Yeah. All right. What a round we've got, too. Look at these matchups. You got Gawler Central and Kapunda. You touched on this one before. For mine, the winner of this game still in the hunt for a finals berth. The loser is cooked. So it's almost an elimination final.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And again, it really is a toss of the coin, as I mentioned. The ruck duel should be pretty neutral. Everything's pretty neutral. And I think if you force me to, I'll go for Gawler Central simply on the fact that it's at home. However, I checked out the first round, and Gawler Central comfortably beat Kapunda in the first round, 101 points to 67. So whether that probably means jack nothing, So, yeah, I'll go Gawler Central.
All right. What about the Battle of the Barossa, Nuriupa and Tanunda at Centennial Park? And both of these sides absolutely desperate for another win. Nuriupa keeps them in, probably locks in a top two berth if they can get up in this one. For the Magpies, a win here, and they just keep that breathing gap, I guess, with the Barossa District having the bye. So it keeps them nice and clear in fourth or third spot. So really important game for both teams.
Well, it is. I think it's far more important for Tanunda in the sense that I don't think the Final Four in membership will change. The order may change, but if Tanunda can actually win this one, it will give them some confidence because they're all over the place if you look at their form line. But as you've said, if Newry win this one, then they could ride in their double chance, I would think, of finishing at least second to South. And again, you'd never quite know. I thought I knew what was going on with Tanunda, but their form line is all over the place. I'm going to go for Newry simply because I've got no idea which team Tanunda will turn up with, to be honest.
Exactly right, and at least with Newry, you know you're going to get consistency of effort, and I'm not saying you don't with Tanunda. Certainly what you get with Tanunda is when they've got their experienced guys out there, they've got direction to funnel their energy in the right direction. When a couple of their experienced guys are missing, we see them lose games where they just lose direction.
Correctly, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, if there is a change inside that Final Four, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it might just be Williston. They're in free fall at the moment, and they have doesn't get any tougher, assignment this week against South Gawler, who will be smarting, remembering that this is their only loss for the year so far, was against the Donnybrooks. I reckon the Lions will smell blood this week.
Look, I think you're right. I would certainly, with confidence, pick South Gawler, but then again, I did the first round as well and lost. The only thing you're right, they've lost 4 of their last 5 games, Williston. The only thing that is, if you look past this week, Williston have got Kapunda, Anguston, Tanunda, Barossa, and Kapunda again, which is really strange. But that, I think, is to do with the fact that Kapunda had to fit in their home games before whatever. But, they wouldn't want to lose too many more, Williston. Let's put it that way.
Particularly with those teams that you mentioned there will be fighting it out, or possibly could be fighting it out for that spot. So if Kapunda were to get a roll on and to beat them twice, well, who knows what could happen.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. So now that we've both picked South Gawler, of course, that means that Williston will knock them off this one.
Well, for mine, and this is the thing with Williston I don't get, the best quarter of football I've seen a team play in country footy was that quarter against South Gawler where Williston just did everything right. I haven't seen a better quarter of football from a team ever. And then you have a look at their results recently. That's why I keep scratching my head when I see it. When I've seen how good they can be when they turn it on. If we start to see that consistently in the back half of the year, I still reckon they're a premiership threat. But haven't seen it in the last month, so until we do, I guess we just park that and wait and see.
Well, I'm absolutely sure you're correct. And as I mentioned a week or so ago, and it doesn't mean that it's true, but if there is a little bit of unhappiness in there. I mean, the results would suggest there is, but there's no direct evidence. But if M. Housen doesn't turn up this week, then we might be a little bit clearer in where they're really at. But, I mean, for a side that can play so well, to have lost 4 out of the last 5 is quite staggering, really.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely, mate. So, well, it's going to be another fascinating round of matches, as it always is, in Barossa Light and Gawler football, and then we'll break for a week for the country champs, Rick. So we might talk a little bit about that next week, I reckon.
Yep, whatever you want, my friend.
Look forward to it. Enjoy the footy this week.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the game of the round again. That's good.
Good on you, mate.
Cheers, bye.